In this video, we're going to see how to install two operating systems on one virtual machine for a dual boot setup. We're going to install Linux Mint alongside Windows 11. Let's start by making sure we have the ISO files. So to get the Linux Mint ISO file, let's head over to linuxmint.com. And from here, it can be downloaded. As for the Windows 11 ISO file, we can just look for it in Google. So we'll type in download Windows 11 ISO. And the first entry should be the correct one. And if we scroll down a bit, we can see that we can download the ISO file directly. So we need to select the download, which would be Windows 11, and then download. And we need to choose a language. And the download link is generated, and we can download the Windows ISO file from here. I already have both of the ISO files for Windows and for Linux Mint, so I'm not going to download them again. Let's get back to VirtualBox and create our new virtual machine. And I'll call it Dual Boot VM. As its type, I'm going to choose Windows 11. The reason is that Windows 11 has all kinds of prerequisites, and if we choose Windows 11 as the operating system, we'll be somewhat closer to fulfilling these requirements, so it should save us a few steps. I'll go with 4 GB of RAM, and let's create a new virtual disk. Now, I'm only going to allocate a disk that's big enough for Linux. Later on, we'll increase its size to make room for Windows as well. But as a first step, I'll only allocate disk space for Linux. So 15 GB should be enough. Great, the virtual machine was created. Let's insert the ISO file to the virtual optical drive. And here is the Linux Mint ISO file. Let's choose it. And let's go ahead and start the installation. Let's start the installation by double-clicking on this icon. And as we only allocated enough disk space for Linux, I want Linux to use all of it. So I'll go with Erase Disk and install Linux Mint. And the installation is taking place. It will take a few minutes. Okay, the Linux Mint installation is done. Let's restart now. And the Linux Mint virtual machine is working properly. The next step is going to be to increase the size of the virtual disk. So first, let's turn off the virtual machine. And here we can see the name of the virtual disk, dualbootvm.vdi. We're going to look for this name in the Media Manager, so let's open the Media Manager. Virtual Media Manager. And here's the disk we just talked about. Let's click on Properties. And I want to allocate 60 GB for Windows. So it means that on top of the 15 that I already have, I want additional 60, which makes a total of 75 GB, and that's what I'm going to allocate. Let's click on Apply. And the virtual disk was resized. Now I'll insert the Windows ISO file to the virtual optical drive. Here it is. Now, as soon as I start the virtual machine, I'll quickly tap on Escape. I have to do it for the boot menu to pop up. So let's click on Start, and immediately I'll start tapping on Escape. And we got to the VirtualBox UEFI. And I'm going to choose Boot Manager. I want to boot from the CD-ROM, so that's what I'm going to choose. and I had to quickly press on enter for Windows to start. Let me just change the keyboard. Okay. And install now. We don't have a product key. And now, before selecting the version we want, we need one extra step. It's needed to bypass the restrictions imposed by Windows 11. It's completely necessary, and Windows 11 can't be installed on VirtualBox without this step. So to do it, we're going to press on Shift F10. And we got to the command line, and here I'm going to start the registry by regedit. Let's browse to H key, local machine, and here system, and then setup. And we need to create a new key over here, which is called lab config. We need two values over here, and both of them are going to be of type dword 32-bit. So the first one is going to be bypass TPM check, and the second one bypass secure boot check. And we need to change the value for both of them to 1. So this is going to be 1, and also this is going to be 1. Great, let's get back to the installation. And if we are installing Windows, we might as well go with the Pro version. And here we can see our additional 60 gigabytes. And currently they are unallocated. This is where we want Windows to be installed, so let's click on New. And I want to allocate all of this for Windows. Great. Let's click on Next. And the installation of Windows started. It's quite a lengthy process, so I'll be back once it's done. Okay, we're back. Let's move on with the installation. I don't want to name my device, so I'll skip on that. And I'll go with a local account. And we have Windows installed on this virtual machine. Whenever we will start this virtual machine, Windows will load. So let's restart it. And Windows loads indeed. If we want to use Linux, on the other hand, we'll restart the virtual machine, and as soon as it restarts, we'll quickly tap on Escape. So let's try that. So restart, and then Escape. Quickly tap on Escape. And we got to the UEFI menu, and from here we can choose the boot manager, and we can start Linux Mint, and that's the one that's called Ubuntu over here. And Linux Mint loaded. By the way, we can see the files on the Windows file system from here. So if I go to Home, I can see under Devices a 64 gigabyte volume, and that is where Windows resides. And from here we can access every file on the Windows file system. If you want Linux Mint to be the default option rather than Windows, it can be done as well. Let's restart the virtual machine again, and again I'll quickly tap on Escape. And now I'll choose Boot Maintenance Manager. And in the boot options, we can change boot order. So let's choose it. And if I want Linux Mint to be the default option, I'll scroll down to it, then press on plus to make it the first option. So let's save the changes by pressing on F10. And if we restart the virtual machine now, Linux is the default option, the first one in the boot order, so that's the one that will load.